So I guess maybe to get a little bit more specific, I don't necessarily mean to open source it or to not open source it, but rather to be commercializing it with to kind of turn on some of those those enterprise features that you were talking about. And so I guess I'm curious, like, did you have opportunities to, for instance, sell something that you kind of turned down because you were continuing to focus on the community edition of it? And I'm curious, like, how I imagine this took a lot of sticking to your core beliefs and turning down opportunities to continue that focus. Were there any particular points where you had a really compelling opportunity that you turned down to continue the focus on the community edition?
I'd say there are probably a few where people have reached out and said like, hey, let's work together, let's try and build some of these core features out together, and we kind of had to take a strong stance and say, no, we're not going to do that right now. It's going to be at least another year before we actually try to focus on this. I think it wasn't too difficult a conversation, to be honest, because we were always clear that we were building this platform for the long run, and in order to do that, we had to build a really good platform that was extremely stable, that had immense developer love. And I think that was always our core goal and our core focus, whether it was internally within the team or, externally within the community or even, within our investors. Our core focus has always been like create something that, developers out there would really, really love. And until we were absolutely confident that, we had something like that, we didn't even want to think about monetization. So I think a lot of it comes down to, propagating that belief in what you're building and just having that alignment with everyone that, we are going to continue to kind of build it this way. And I think we've just been very transparent about that. And I think especially with the community, you'd be surprised, but I think the conversation with the community was a lot harder because there would be so many people who would ask for features like granular access control and audit logs and SSO and wonder why we're just not building it. And, they consistently follow up every, the 2 to 3 months and say like, when is this feature launching? Wow. And we'd have to be really transparent and just say, hey, I'm sorry, I understand you're a slightly larger organization and team, and you'd see a lot of value from this, but there are all these 20 other features that the large community is just really struggling with right now. And our priorities are there before we can get to this. And being really transparent about that was very, very important for us.
So your focus was really on getting the platform to a place where you felt that it was the good foundation to take you to a commercialization strategy, it sounds like. But
yeah, absolutely.
That didn't preclude you from growing the community. And so I'm curious, while you're going through this, a lot of companies measure their success on ARR, right? So how much ARR do we have? More ARR, more customers. Well, so when you don't have ARR to get or customers to get, what sort of metrics or things are you looking at growing in this phase before that commercialization? How are you measuring your broad appeal?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, the number one and the absolute number one thing that, we live and die by inside Appsmith is our developer retention. That's pretty much the main thing that we really care about. And what this means is it's not about getting new developers. It's really just about making sure that every developer who checks out the product sticks around for the long run. And if they didn't, why did they stick around? What stopped them from actually using Appsmith? Because it's the kind of product that could pretty much help you in your everyday work. You could use it for a ton of things, whether it's your side hobby project or your actual work for internal tools, or even experimenting on something on a side business that you'd like. So we'd consistently keep asking that question, and we'd be obsessed with